Hi everyone. This is Ricardo here. Good evening everyone. This is my pleasure to welcome you on our May session of Berlindroid, our monthly event. We meet each last Wednesday of the month. And all our meetups are free and open to everyone. And yeah, I'm very glad to see so many new faces. Today, usually we are having a program with 2 technical talks, but this month there is a Google I/O event. We also hosted a Google I/O extended event, and we thought it would be a fun opportunity to give a chance to some new speakers to present their live meetups. So yeah, I hope you can give us some feedback on that. And if you're interested in submitting a talk, let's talk about it. And we are highly encouraged. And thanks so much for Ricardo, who was very active this month and really contributed to this event happening. The first information is that it's sad. We were about to have a very nice talk that would be given by Josie, but he's sick, but he will be there next month. So if you want to dive into the motion layout, just join our next event at the end of June. And Josie is like really into rabbits, and he has a lot of adorable rabbits. So this is why it's on the slide. And this is a brief agenda for today. At first, our Hassan, who's one of the organizers, will be telling something about the updates coming for the Google Play. Then Sonia, who will be also organizing an Android study jam very soon, will be giving a course. If you are interested in, we are still looking for a venue. So if your company could provide us a venue to, train some Android newbies to be better programmers, let's talk about it. And then you'll have this break. And this is the place to pitch your ideas. If you have some problem, if you have some topic looking for support in team, just open stage for everyone. Then Miguel will be giving an update on Kotlin. Miguel has been very active in our community and hosted a Kotlin study jam and Android study jam a few times, so it's very nice to see him again as a speaker. Then our very own Lara will be giving an update about architecture components. And if you're interested in Flutter, Lara published a lot of nice sketchworking article on Medium yesterday, so highly recommend it. And we also have a first-time speaker. I'm not sure, so somebody could give a presentation at our test? Okay, so Sinan will be giving first talk, so I'm very excited to see about the benchmark library and performance. And we can go back and start with the first talk. Hassan, let's give him a warm welcome. Starting from today, Cbase has a setup for recordings, and we decided to record the talks. So if you can see Mario there, Mario, wave to everyone. Mario is doing the recording here. Let's try not to go into this, area to make it easier for everyone. And here's the some technical issues. We are in touch with DroidCon, and they have been asking us for some feedback, and we are collaborating with them. There will be also like an area during the DroidCon. I hope to see you there. And I think you can still submit talks. Ash? No. Maybe for next year. Yeah, but you can for sure still get some tickets. And we actually managed to get a discount code, so if you're still interested in purchasing the ticket, then it's there. And we are planning to do diversity tickets either way soon. So I think we'll be doing it either via Slack or Twitter. So yeah. As I mentioned, our events are always last Wednesday of the month. And if you want to submit talks, there will be some links, but maybe we can start with them.
What's on there?
Alright. So for the people who didn't have time to look at all the wonderful I/O videos, also who are probably a bit lazy and just want some short introduction to all this stuff, we are here today. And I wanted to talk about what's new in the Play Store for us developers. Let's go first about. They announced for the Play Store the dynamic features are out of beta. That means we can use the normal app bundling. That's already happening. I think most of the companies in Germany doesn't do it because they don't want to provide their signing key to the Play Store. But if you can do that, you can reduce your app sizes at least 10, 20, 30%, and even more if you have a lot of native stuff. And with on-demand delivery, you can say, okay, I have now a feature in my application which I want to have only when the user clicks a button. For example, you have something like a chat with a support team or a direct call over the application, which you can only download if the user really clicks, I want to call the support, and then it's on demand downloads the feature for you. The other one is a conditional delivery. For example, you can have something in the that you only support for some languages. For example, you say you are in Germany or in Europe and you have to provide for Europe the GDPR compliant library. And for all the rest of the world, you don't care about that. So you can say, okay, just with a condition, I am in Germany, depending on the country and the language, you can say I also want to that the application downloads that automatically for me. So you can really decide how your distribution looks in the client in the end. New is that they also introduced the instant experience. So that instant apps works together with the app bundle. Because before it didn't work together, you had to choose instant apps or app bundle. And last but not least, for applications, we changed the language in their own application itself. For example, when I do it, so you select your German local telephone, but you still want to have an English one application, so you get some other features as well, which is just based on the language. So you can now download it through the app bundle because beforehand it wasn't allowed to do that. They just use the phone at that point. Okay. Also, now you can do internal app sharing. A lot of people use something like Firebase Beta, no, Freshetics Beta, because Firebase Beta is not public for now, or what's else, yeah. Okay, right. They use it for that, but now it's an easy way with the Play Store. You just say, drag and drop your APK to the Play Store, and then you can get a download link that you just send around to the people, and they can download it. The nice thing at that point is the version code check doesn't happen. There's no signing certificate check at that point. You can upload a debug version to the Play Store, but the problem is you are tied to the Play Store listing, application ID. So a lot of engineers doing following, having on the product release version, and locally they just use the development version, and they have a different application ID for that. That won't work with that. You have to have the same package ID, or you create another listing just for your debug version, or for your new application ID. Then you can also use it for these areas. Now it's a famous feature for us. Well, for us, devs is really not so important, but a lot of product managers will love that. You can force your user to update your application. It's sometimes advantage, sometimes disadvantage, but the point is you can also say it's an optional one. For example, you have an application, you have a breaking API change, or some lawyers said to you, you have to move to the next version. Now we can look in this application from which version code on I have to download the application. This has to be done by you. It's not handled by the system. The other one is done automatically. You just get some full screen interstitial where I say, please download the application, and then you don't have to use the app. It just downloads the application in the background and changes this for you. It looks like that. On the left one, you have the flexible one, where you can say, okay, it's optional, I don't want to update. And the right one, you say, you have to update your application, otherwise it won't work anymore. Play Store console. Yeah, a lot of engineers hate it, because it's way too much nowadays what you can do there. But for project managers or data analysts, you can have much more insight in your application nowadays. They revamped the whole data they show in the application. But most important, at least for Android dev, should be you can see now your application download data. So not just how much they downloaded it. You can also see how much installation storage it uses. So we really can try to optimize that as well. Because a lot of people or users doesn't care how much they download, they care how much space it uses on the phone. They have limited flash or SD area storage. Also, they give you optimization tips at that point. I think most of the time they will tell, just move on to app bundle. That's first thing. Second thing, use WebP instead of PNGs or JPEGs. And third is probably use vector drawables instead of using other stuff. Now, even for programmers, it's interesting, they can now define with which applications they can do a benchmark to their application, to their own application. For example, if I'm a car rental company, I can say, okay, I don't want to compare it to others' normal applications. I just want to say, okay, for example, iPhone 6, I say I want to compare it to what car sharing company is out there? Whatever. So you can really select up to 6 different applications which you think is your competitor at that point. And also they do another check benchmark with the top 100 applications which Google think are your competitors on your area. I think that's all. Yeah, I think it's the last one. Comes later. Okay. The next one is the Play Store listing page itself. For now, you could do just the language, for example. You can have different stuff for different regions. You can do that. But now you can also go a bit further. At that point, you can say if the application was already installed once, you show the user a different store listing instead of your own one. Also, they do now a recalculation of the rating in the application. So they just take the last year for that. Because if you have a really old application, maybe like it's 10 years old now, you have the problem, you have ratings from people who used the app 10 years ago. And at that time, probably it wasn't so good. At least for now, for people, for application owners, it would be better. If they're doing a good job nowadays, if they did it before and now it changes, that's for them. At least for now, as an application owner, you can see both numbers. And they said, after this, I think in some fall, they will change it that all users outside will see this in recalculated rating. Is that something? Also, one interesting point is that you can now that they offer you smart replies for reviews of users. So if you have always the same phrase that you're sending there, instead of copy pasting, you just press the links there and just sends automatically stuff out. Also, they said it makes more sense to use that to answer to every review because it raises the retention and the usage of your application up to 11%. So if you want to fix the retention of the application, you probably should talk with your product manager or the people who are taking that in consideration. And I think that was one more place for area short. Any questions? Oh, yeah. Okay. Yes.
Can you customize? Can you customize the replies at the reviews, to the reviews? Can you select 3 different types?
As far as I know, you can it's like smart replies, it really takes the one which you already used once. Was a similar thing. For example, if it's something network related, what's smart reply? It's something machine learning behind it, hopefully, that like the mail smart replies that they try to analyze the stuff that makes sense and just press the link to the automatic replies with text that has done.
Nice, thanks.
Any other questions? Then, Zomia, are you ready?
Thank you very much.
Now it's working.
Yeah, but no, it's okay. You are paying 133.
So, hello everyone. My name is Samya, and today I'm going to talk a little bit about Android Studio 3.5 beta preview because I happen to be in spin. And I actually signed up for a regular talk, so if I'm running out of time, please let me know, somebody. Okay, cool. Yeah, so that's me. And if you want to add me on Twitter, feel free, just a bad remote. Alright, so first thing, you need the studio, so just go and get it here. I just added a short link so you can get it there. What is special about Android Studio 3.5 beta preview? First of all, the most important changes which was announced was that Project Marble. So Project Marble was a internal project by Google where they realized that there are too many issues and exceptions and memory leaks and bugs that needed to be fixed in Android Studio, so they actually took up on themselves to fix these. So the main focus was system health, which meant mostly memory issues, heap analysis, some performance-based fixes. Secondly, it was feature polishes. One of the important ones that was pushed was apply changes, as in like the instant run was completely replaced by apply changes. So we can talk about that later. And thirdly, they were trying to reduce bugs, and they apparently fixed 400 bugs. So yeah, I think that's good news for us in some way. So enhancements. There is a huge list of enhancements which seem nitty-gritty, but they are, I think, kind of useful one way or the other. So system health, there were quite a few related to memory settings, memory analysis and report, because tracking memory is hard, and if people are not giving analysis reports and not letting Google Analysis track them, it would be hard for them to fix them. So now they came up with a nice tracker, which we'll be looking into. And some of, like the ones you see in red, basically I won't be talking about them in depth later, so I just thought of talking a little bit now. So user interface freezes, basically when you are using the XML or editing the XML, you would probably, I noticed some laggy behavior, or sometimes resources are not being referenced, those kind of fixes. So project upgrades, when you're trying to upgrade your Android Studio, you would also have to upgrade Gradle build tool sometimes, or the other way around. So basically your Gradle build would fail if you did not update it to the latest. So right now, they're trying to give you more user-friendly errors, and also to support the backward compatibility. If you're also on the latest version, you're using some other Gradle tool, you can still be able to, without problems or conflicts, build this. Which is, I think, it's kind of seamless experience. Data binding, when it comes to data binding, I use this data binding for some time now, and I used to think that XML was just like blindly taking it and not giving me enough error reports regarding this, or even like sometimes it would be laggy and you couldn't navigate to where this binding was and things like that. So yeah, those were, I think, I'm quite happy with the data binding part. So yeah, the rest of them I will be covering a few important ones like apply changes, build speed, lint code analysis, layout editor, etc., something like that. The rest of them I won't be covering. So if you're interested, you can look at this full blog post which has announcements of all of these in detail. So memory settings, basically what I would do, because I have my computer which has a 8 GB RAM, and when I, for instance, started two Android Studios, say 3.2 and 3.5, and try to build anything, it just crashes. So, or even if there's a large project, it would not manage memory by itself, so it would just crash my macOS, which is kind of not nice. And now I think I also used to do this in the Gradle files, Gradle properties, where I used to set the JVM argument saying increase the heap size, but yeah, I don't know, the issue still was there. So I think this is exactly the same, but with a nicer UI. So now you can go in the preferences, where you can see here that yeah, you can adjust the memory here. And the recommended is 2 gig something, but the default one is 1.2 gig. So yeah, feel free to try that one out. And a cooler feature I thought was that whenever you are trying to build larger projects, and the studio realized that the project is running out of heat, then it actually now automatically upgrades your memory heap size, but also notifies you only in case that you have a bigger RAM size. So I think that's pretty cool without crashing, so why not? Yeah. So secondly, when it comes to memory, there were some enhancements apparently related to heap analysis, that is client-side heap analysis on the users' MacBooks. If you have some issues, because memory is again harder to track what went wrong. Maybe you're streaming some video and your Android Studio is crashing. So yeah, basically they build some trackers to get this info just so that they can make the experience nicer. So now if you want, you can review the report, and whenever there's a shutdown exception, then they would do this automatically. But if you want it also, you can manually go and say analyze memory usage, and if you find something weird, you can always report it. And something nice I found is that sending a memory usage report to the team does not include raw data. That means if you're using some personal, from your personal projects, there won't be anything important into this data basically. So I think that's nice, except I don't know the Google privacy policy there, so you might want to check it out. So, important build speeds. I'm always struggling with Gradle build, especially with newer projects, older projects, all sorts of projects. So, first thing to improve this is to I watched this at the talk of Android development tools, that you disable plugins that you're not using. Because there was some bug related to C++ plugin where it was automatically in the background trying to do some fancy thing that was not required, even if that was not the app or the project was not using an NDK. So I think that was fixed, but again, if you're not using any plugin that is staying in this list for a longer time, just go and disable that. Maybe it will improve your build speed. And second thing is I just did this immediately after watching the talk, just upgrade, if you're using a newer studio, of course this makes sense, upgrade the plugin because this has new, some magic happening with Gradle builds, and so you will see a, I don't know, improve in your speed maybe. And another thing was that now most of the annotation processors, important ones, are supporting incremental build. That is, I can show. So. Yeah, so now you can go here and check all the annotation processors which support this incremental build, and they also have opened some issues, so you can see that some of them have not fixed them, partially supported, auto value, unsupported, open issues, so you can check it out. The list is here. I have provided a list here as well, so link to the list, so if you're interested. Yeah, so I think Hassan already covered this part, but I also had some hands-on thing to show here, so I'm going to quickly show that. So basically, as Hassan already mentioned, if you have to push your app to multiple. If you want your app to be present at multiple countries or globally, or even want to target only certain API levels, you can do that now, or even build variants, for instance, you can do that now by actually adding a dynamic feature module, which is, you can also specify whether this has to be activated at app install time or not, or any other trigger, for instance. So yeah, I think it was pretty cool and easy to do this. If you just go here, you can already see my dynamic feature one, but imagine if your app needs something special, for instance, a pedometer or a specific hardware on a device that supports AR or VR or something like that. So you can already check by adding this here. So you can say here how you want it to be done. And if you select specified feature, you can also say here you need something special, AR camera, for instance. So you can finish. Okay, now it's going to take a bit of time.
Right, let's think.
Yeah. I think it takes longer when everyone's watching.
Everyone look away.
Yeah. So anyway, just to show you how this works, I already have one here, just to avoid that scenario. And Okay, so I have it here. So you see that this is the important part where you, of this module, where there is something like this device feature added automatically, and it says, this one I selected a pedometer for step counter, so it says step counter, and this you have to be able to see this here, camera AR. So yeah, I think it's pretty cool. Yeah, that's pretty much about. You can also select which API levels basically. So, apply changes. I think some of us were excited about this. After me turning on Internet forever, never look back. But now I think I'm really considering it, and I really thought there were some minor changes that I found while I was using this. Now more than a week, I think. So first thing, they removed this yellow icon lightning thing, but I really liked it. Never mind. Now you have, it's been split into two different features. First, as in like these buttons you see, one is for apply code changes only, and one other one is for apply changes and restart activity. So what this, like I won't be covering the run app obviously, so we'll just be looking into these two. Firstly, you need to make sure that this targets only devices 26 and above, so if you're testing, just use an emulator with 26 and above. And yeah, there are certain limitations, just like instant run. And in apply code changes, basically what happens is if you have some code changes in your activities or like classes, basically, it's like going to patch that immediately to the emulator. Secondly, when you're this apply changes and restart activity, when you're yeah, like right now, I'm going to run that. So when you do this, what happens is there are certain cases where like enums, resource files are being changed, or some files are deleted. Something important happened. So basically, yeah, you will have to restart this. But still, you don't have to do the run app now. You can still use the apply changes, and it will still be there. Still there. Yeah, I think it's quite. I don't know. Like sometimes, I felt like instant run used to restart the entire activity. So if you're not in the foreground, it would open up the app. Now, if you do this only, it does not. As in, if you do apply changes and restart, it does not really open the app or launch it. It just applies it if it's open only. So that's the only difference I found as of now. So, yeah. Okay, so lint analysis. Now, in the bottom corner, if you go to one of these classes, maybe. So here you can see this little person out here in this right-hand corner. Here you can actually now control the lint analysis. What is the severity level you want? What is basically do you want or you don't want it at all? So depending on that, your lint checks will be actually running. So here, basically these reds here, it means like error warning, so you can see that nicely, it's color coded. So yeah, depending on your severity, again, those change to errors or warnings, and I think it's pretty cool as well. So yeah, that's pretty much about Project Marble and mostly the enhancement part. Now I'll be talking a little bit about the design tool chain that has been changed, or like the UI-based features that are available now. So firstly, layout editor. So there's a brand new layout editor with a lot of features that have been pushed. There's navigation component which has been improved, and also I think the actions or animations are pretty cool now. I won't be talking about navigation because I thought it was really a huge topic and I could not cover it in the short time. So these three I will be talking about a little bit about, and I'll show you like in the IDE like what could be done. So firstly, like resource manager, another new tab which we got, layout editor already existing but with new tabs again. Inspector, layout inspector is for debugging your layouts, the view hierarchy and things like that. A much nicer view to check what is going on there. So layout editor, basically this is how it looks. I didn't try like a nested view or anything, it's pretty simple here, but I tried a little bit of, like there are some, the first thing I really liked is that you can set some set sample data for this recycle view by doing this. This is the contextual menu you got with constraint layout. So set sample data can actually help you set like default, or there are quite a few options, one line with avatar or two lines and things like that. So, okay, I don't like that. So yeah, and here you can set constraints right here from this menu. And I think this is also kind of nice horizontally independent, just do it right there. And yeah, there are quite a few tabs. Firstly, like this is the main view. This has like, maybe you've already seen this, design, blueprint, and or both the views. Palette is the one which actually offers you a plethora of views that you want to maybe include in your layouts. And you can just drag them and drop them if you like. So it's, and then you can start setting like constraint on these layout, and yeah. So anyway, yeah. Here is the attributes part. Here, I don't know why this was never there. ID, like I thought it should have been there from the I don't know, from the start. So I want to call it from RV. So yeah, I think here you can add all the attributes you like, margin, padding, whatever you want. And it also has like cool autocomplete. And there are also like styles, depending on whether you're referencing the resource files or not. If you're referencing a resource file, then this already shows you like this solid. So you can go there. Does that make my time up?
Alien.
Okay. So anyway, you can try this out for yourself. I think this is really cool that where you can set this. Anyway, never mind. This component tree here, you can see, yeah, a little bit of view hierarchy, and I didn't try this also much, so that's kind of the layout editor enhancements. If you're interested, link is there. Resource manager here. So now we have a brand new tab here where I think it's very visual and cool to see all the resources present and to look, because finding them, going inside the tree, resource files, like, yeah, it was kind of a, I don't know, a task, I think. Maybe now you can always like, yeah, double shift and find it, but still like now everything is more visual and I really like visual stuff. So yeah, here in the drawables you can also change from like the layout orientation, whatever, to this. And here I think this was pretty impressive for me that I could immediately go to a recycle view if I wanted. And yeah, another important thing that I liked is like you can just click there, go here to the colors file, and you can do a color picking thing. So I mean, it's really, I think, simple, but I think it's cool though. Yeah, so another thing here, batch imports. I used to use like this from this menu, I think. Now you could do from here, and yeah, batch imports basically work similarly like before, I guess. I didn't see much or read much about it, but this is an extra dialog that appears, and you can provide values and some other sets of other attributes, I think. And another thing also they support now web formats or iOS like to something. Those formats now seamlessly without being able to rename stuff there. So moving on to next, SVG conversion. Basically now if you have SVGs, you can do batch import to vector variables. I think that's really cool. And that's resource manager, but I really think this is such a nice visual thing already to have. So more go here. Last but not least, layout inspector. So I already have a layout now. I have the app running, so you need to attach a process to it so that the inspector can open up. It just opens up in the studio like this. And here you have like these 3 tabs. One is like properties table, where depending on your selection, you can see the properties. And the view hierarchy here, where you can just also look into like the subtree. So if I go like to the higher one, I can look into this subtree. I don't know why it's deactivated now. There. Okay. I was able to do this before. Now it's not showing up here. So anyway, if you want to like profile it and see what is happening where, I think it's a pretty nifty tool. And more details here. That's pretty much it. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Okay, I just have this last one thing which already Anna kind of spoke about. So we are planning an Android bootcamp in Kotlin. I'm not so well versed in Kotlin, so if somebody wants to volunteer to like help me out, would be great. And also even space, if somebody wants to. If your company wants to host us regularly on a recurring event every Monday or Tuesdays, and also wants to pay in this drinks, think about it. So thank you.
Are there any questions?
Oh yeah. I think I took a lot of time. Maybe later. I don't know.
I think it was interesting.
Thank you.
We'll be taking a short break, but if you stay with me for the next 20 seconds, I will tell you about our weekly events that we organize. These are 3 events. Thursday we are meeting at the co-learning space. Mario is there, I'm usually there, some other organizers are also there. And you can just come and work on your own projects. And we are especially trying to encourage juniors. So if you have some who just starting out, please try to mention that we are organizing it. We are there to support them. And it's at Xheim. So it's Xheim Market Space. And also, can you see this awesome QR code? We just created it yesterday, and this is for a call for speakers. If you want to send me the talk, you can just screen it with your camera app and send it, and we will consider it. Important announcement is that we are not accepting Flutter talks at the moment because there is a dedicated Flutter meetup in town, but all other topics. And thank you for your patience. Let's take 15 minutes break. We will announce it. Berlindroid Market. Before the host. Do you have any announcements?
Okay, I also wanted to say that I'm looking for a job, and if you want to refer me to your company, I'll be able to call you, I think. Thanks.
Thanks. Anyone offering to ask?
Doesn't have to.
You don't have to.
That's not a job thing, sorry.
You're your job.
So anyway, thank you. So anyway, I was on the committee for, I am on the committee for Droid May Berlin, and we've made an special effort for diversity and inclusion. So I want to say, please, please, please propose talks. Even if you don't feel so confident about it, please come see me, and I'll be happy to help you out if there is a competition you want to talk about or whatever. It's really important that we get representation from different parts of the community, and I would really like to work with you if you feel like you are not so confident that I can help you out. That would be absolutely great. So please propose talks. I know it's a bit late for Droid May Berlin, but if other Droid Mays would interest you and you're thinking about talking, just say please. It's fantastic.
Actually, it's not necessarily totally too late for Droid Berlin, because we do have the interactive day, the barcamp day, at the first day. And that's also a great opportunity just to try something, because also you can we will have some panels that are pre-set up, but also there will be something like an unconference or barcamp, so just bring your ideas, and we're putting together a separate conference schedule for that day. And yeah, that's also a great part to start. Also, you don't need a finished session or anything. You can also just come with a 5-minute idea, and then you get everybody's input on that.
Absolutely.
And to support public speaking even more, I haven't announced it because we haven't got the dates, but in June we will be organizing a trio on public speaking. Last year we did it and we received a lot of positive feedback from the community. People submitted talks for conferences, and it was super rewarding to hear those stories. So if you're interested in speaking, women tech makers, June. Okay. Sorry it took so long. Let's take a short pause. Thank you.
Yo, hello, I'm Miguel, and I will show you today what Google presented as new in Kotlin this year, but in 5 minutes. First, a look at the past. You probably remember the keynote in 2017 when Google announced Kotlin officially supported, and the creation of the Kotlin Foundation, which main job is to keep the API stable while evolving, and seems that they are doing a really good job at that. But now in 2019, it's clear, Kotlin is the preferred language for developing Android apps. They have the best support in the checkpoint libraries, is offered in Kotlin, with all the KDX extensions. And of course, the new Compose API, which is only available in Kotlin. Kotlin is used more and more internally in Google also. They use it in apps like Drive, Next, Google Home, and also the system UI. Kotlin native, now in beta. And also coroutines are supported pretty much everywhere. So there's no excuse for not using Kotlin. I will present some new cool features of the language that were presented at Google I/O. And the first one is called capturing when. Think about this example where you are keeping a variable just because you need to use it inside the when clause. Now you can declare this variable inside of the when. And it just works as before, keeping the variable inside its scope. Another feature is the experimental annotation. We can annotate features that can be marked as experimental, which will either give an error to the user, to the developer, or a warning. And you can set this experimental level also if you want. This allows you to create APIs that are experimental. and let your users know that maybe in the future there's no warranty, that the thing is going to be there, or that the stability is not so good. And of course, the Kotlin team can do the same. They can use this annotation also to tell you, well, this is experimental. Contracts is another cool feature included in the language. This helps telling the compiler about something, about preconditions in code. For example, this will tell the compiler, hey, I'm sure that when this is returning true, this class is not going to be null. So please don't complain in the compiler later on that this is null. More cool features is a serializable annotation. This generates data classes. This generates serializers for data classes that can be used to parse JSON or protobuffers without reflection. And the coolest thing is that this is supported in Kotlin JVM, Kotlin JS, and also Kotlin native. Flow is another cool routines feature that is currently in preview. If you check this, it will have like an experimental annotation also. It works like call strings. You're used to that from RxJava. And to create it, you use this flow method, and then you subscribe to it. Let's say it's called collect in Kotlin. And this, you can emit results then to this collect method. So it looks pretty much similar to RxJava. You also have filter and map and some of these operands also on the collect. And there's way more language features now, like unsigned integers, better parallel builds with Gradle, that improved incremental annotation processing also. There's a new type inference engine that is supposed to improve also the way we work with RxJava. And also the called progressive mode, which allows you to access the latest experimental features available in Kotlin. Finally, also better community support. I will say that pretty much all the code samples on the documentation from Google are now available in Kotlin. There's also a new course that they have prepared from the Google team that is for free available in Udacity for learning Android programming, but from scratch with Kotlin. And also there are these events now organized worldwide which are called Kotlin Everywhere. What I heard is that here in Berlin there's going to be one happening. I thought that it's going to be announced today, but I guess it's work in progress still. So it's clear that Kotlin won the Android throne. Thank you.
Questions? Okay then, excellent. And our next speaker will be Lara. Please give her a warm welcome.
Okay, yes. Hello everyone. My name is Lara, and I'll be showing you, or trying to be showing you in 5 minutes everything that's new on the components. Actually, we don't have time limit today because I could not fit that in 5 minutes. That's a lot of stuff. So, the first thing that I really like from their presentation on Google is that they claim that 70% of the Android developers are using at least one library from the architecture components. And the reason is that the architecture components makes doing the Android development really easy, or easier than before at least. So what's new? On data binding side, they basically focus on tooling, but that's really cool. First, there's a faster compilation. They claim a 20% faster annotation processing, also a distributed field cache support, meaning that you can benefit from your peers compiling the project, and also an experimental feature, which is incremental annotation processing, that you can enable it, I think, in Android Studio 3.5 or at least 6. Also, as well, they improved its integration with Android Studio. Now, when you're working with data binding and you create a new class and you create like an ID for a view, you give an ID to a view on your layout file, you will see that already on the binding class generated without compiling, meaning that you can use it directly anywhere. Also, refactoring is supported now, so if you rename a variable somewhere, it will also automatically update the bindings. Lastly, but not least, because that's really good, when you're working with data binding, you know that when you run into some errors, you have a really huge list of errors and it's difficult to find what's wrong. Now, when you have your compiling errors on your build output, we'll see a section for data binding, and also the messages have been improved. So it's supposed to be good, or at least better. Now, there's a new thing called view binding. That's for who doesn't like data binding, a lightweight alternative whose purpose is to accessing views, basically. It's compiled time safe, like data binding as well. But the thing is that it doesn't impact your build speed. This is going to be available in Android Studio 3.6. Now, on lifecycle side, now there's a new type of view model that allows you to save your state via the onSafe state instance. Also, the Kotlin APIs have been improved both for live data and view model. And for example, also initialization of view model is way easier. It's just one line of code. Before that, you had to create your late init and then initialize it. Now, just by property delegates, it's really easy. Work Manager, there's also a bunch of new stuff. They focus on a couple of areas. One is performance and compatibility. Now you can initialize your workers, your Work Manager, the moment you need it, not when the app starts. That's great. Also soon, I don't know when, but soon, they will have also Google Play Services integration that is also totally optional. You only have to add a dependency for that. They said that this would bring better performance for pretty much mallow devices. I don't know what it means, so let me know later. And also they improved some things about compatibility. They've been working with manufacturers to have a consistent app closing behavior, because depending on devices, it behaves differently. Now, on the testing side, they have now, they support RoboElectric, which seems like it was missing before. And also for unit testing, you can use a couple of classes now, a couple of builders for unit test your workers. Then it's called Test Worker Builder and Test Listenable Worker Builder, I think. And what's next? They were saying that they are working now on supporting foreground service support, like foreground services, and they were looking for feedback, like to know why would you need the foreground support and stuff. Now, what's on Room? They are supporting coroutines now, generating the correct code for your DAOs. Also, there's a handy extension function for your database that is called with transaction that will allow you to start your transactions. Another feature is the full text search, where you only have to add an annotation for, say, FTS4, and that will give you the possibility of making queries using the match expression. Also, there's more RX support. You can have insert, update, and delete methods that can return completable, maybe, and singles. And you can also have them for queries. Now, what's next? Next will come some incremental annotation processor. I don't know when, but that's the future. Some improvements on relationships and migrations, and also coroutine channels. Now, we have a couple of libraries left. One is the paging library that soon will be in early access program, where there will be some better network support with error handling. Also, you will be able to inject headers and footers while you are pulling your pages. And also, there will be better integration with RxJava and coroutines. And last but not least, on navigation, now you can have view models scoped for a navigation graph. Also, you could navigate by URI. And if you want, you can use dialogues now as navigation destinations. So that was my summary of 5 minutes in 9 minutes. If you have questions, please help me out, because I'm not using many libraries right now, so it would be very appreciated from you. Thank you.
Questions?
Hey, thanks for the talk. Not so much a question, more of a elaboration. So, on your topic that you can use view models in other places, you can now, well, not so much now, but in the alpha version, you can use view models scoped to a navigation graph. This is really cool if you're using a navigation graph in a larger context. I've just started migrating our project over to the navigation library, but you can also use your navigation graph with a view model scope. So you can have a view model scope that is larger than your fragment, but lesser than your activity. So if you have an activity, it's quite cool on that one. That's all.
Yeah, I think one of the examples they were giving is like for the view model scope to navigation graphs is like you have like a whole flow, let's say login flow, and you can have that within your view model, one view model for that. That's it. That would be the idea.
Scope to your graph.
Yeah.
Thanks so much. And now, our last speaker for the evening, Sinan works at my team, and I have seen the work, and I'm really happy that he shared with our community. So, Sinan, good luck.
Hello. Hello, I'm Sinan. and I'm an Android developer in Mobility Scrap 4. And today I will talk about new member of Jetpack libraries, which is benchmark library. And I'm quite interested in performance analysis and performance improvement. I'm super happy about their new release, and I will try to go through all of the features they announced. So benchmark library is a new tool for measuring performance for some code chunks. What I mean for that, so it tries to measure the code performance in an isolation. So it doesn't care about the rest of the application. It actually doesn't care about the real life application measurements. It's just for the measuring the code chunks. And it's used for internal Android development since 2016. And it's only helpful to see performance improvement over the time. You can use this manually, but it is much more helpful if you use over time and if you see your improvement over time. And what is not benchmark library for? It is not a tool for comparing different devices and different operating systems, because it's trying to optimize the work environment as much as possible to get stable results. So that means it can give different results on different devices which have similar architecture or similar CPU. And if you need to have better, good performance analysis, it's not the tool, and you still need to use systrace and Android Studio Profiler, which I highly recommend those two for the performance analysis. And so before benchmarking library, we only have a couple of library and one manual option, which we can use, just manually tracking the time and reporting it. But it's error prone, because while we are running this test, maybe CPU is still on the lowest frequency, or maybe we are doing some other test. So it doesn't make sense to run it once. So maybe we can run multiple times. Let's say I would like to run 8 times and get an average number. But that's also not helpful, because this includes lots of boilerplate code. This is the only place we would like to care. This is the only logic we would like to measure. And it's hard to decide how many times we would like to run the loop. So I can say 10 for one use case, but it can be 1,000 for really small use case. So what does benchmark library offer for us to improve our performance analysis? First of all, it has a new plugin, and it's called Android X Benchmark. It also has one JUnit test runner, which helps you to run our benchmark test in isolation. And lastly, it gives us one benchmark rule, which helps us to run our test with JUnit code. So, basic example is, after we apply the benchmark rule, we can directly call measure repeat it, and we can give our logic inside. So, what does this method do? It runs warm-up runs, because when we start running our test, CPU probably on the lower frequency, and it's trying to get a medium frequency, and it's trying to stabilize every run. Then it starts running our measurements in loop. But while doing that, it also tracks what's happening with the measurement. It's not just care about it. It just not follow the average. It's trying to get stable measurement as possible. And if it notice that phone or CPU throttling, that means CPU get too high, too hot, and it needs to slow down a bit. It pauses the measurement and waited to get a stable performance again. And it also creates JSON and XML reports for us to use in our continuous integration tools. How to use it? So it basically require a new module. So I'm imagining everyone using lots of modules here. And if you have different library modules, then it's easy to use. The plugin I have mentioned helps us to extract the output from the device. And it's really highly advised to use non-debuggable and minified version of application. Why it's required? Because if we run our measurements with the debuggable version, it affects our measurements up to 80%. 80% is not something we need to care about. The problematic part, it can give us, let's say 100, or it can give us 180. So it's about the variation of the time measurement. And it works with all of the testing tools which we have right now, like activity test route and activity scenario. So that way we can also run our activities and measure the UI clicks and screws and whatever we'd like to have. So for example, for that, if we like to measure the screw bind method, and we would like to get a performance analysis of it, we can apply the activity scenario rules, we can set up everything, and we can just use benchmark rule like we use for all other tests. This will start our activity, run our test multiple times, then give us a minimum time, and in this case, which is 69,000 nanoseconds. And this is a sample output in JSON, which gives us which test, run how many times, and how many iterations did it require. So as you can see, it requires a lot of form of iteration because it's really fast method. Fast as 29 nanoseconds. And this benchmark rule has lots of control over how we would like to run our tests. For example, it has a method called name run with timing disabled. That's a useful method if we like to clear our cache, or if we like to measure our database performance or any query performance. We don't want to use same query over and again because SQLite will cache it. So before every measurement, we would like to drop our tables and insert new data. And these methods will help us inserting those new data without manipulating any numbers. When can we use it? It is suitable for small collaterals, and it is mostly suitable for frequently called code because it's run everything in groups. That means just-in-time compilation will use just-in-time compilation a lot. So the code we are going to run will be highly optimized in runtime. So that means if we like to test something like set visibility, which is called almost any application, that's a really useful case. But if you like to benchmark your app startup, that's not really useful because probably Android runtime won't compile that part really efficiently, and so you'll not care about it. And the loop itself has 60 nanoseconds overhead, give or take, on an old device. That means you can start measuring your code starting from 6 nanoseconds to 15 milliseconds. And why I'm saying 15 milliseconds? Because it runs in loop. If you like to run measurement for a 1 second method, it can take a lot of time. Imagine it's run 1,000 times. And it has lots of magic under the hood. So we would like to run our tests in a stable environment, and the easiest way to achieve it, just locking the CPU frequency, but this requires root access, and I imagine not everybody has the root access on their device, but if the device we are using has root access, that plugin locks the CPU frequency, so we can get stable results out of the test. But if you don't have root access, Android has a mode called Sustained Performance Mode for VR headsets. So since Nougat, if the device has VR certificate, that means it also has Sustained Performance Mode. This also does the same thing. It locks the CPU, doesn't let CPU go high frequency, and it helps to run long-running process without heating the device. And the second, and the fourth thing which it does, it wait until the CPU frequency becomes stabilized. That means it runs some warm-up loops at the beginning until it decides once becomes stable. And if we don't have any of those, it just use thread sleep to wait a bit to cool down the device and continue again. This is really nice, the waiting with the thread sleep. It's useful, but it increases the total duration. And those are the useful links. If you like to read the documentation, that's super easy. Sample application works out of box, and if you like to just iterate whatever test would like to add, that's also super easy. And thank you.
Are there any questions?
Hello. You said that devices that have root access can influence how they advance. Does that mean like that if I start here, I get a root access problem?
I didn't get the question.
Yeah, sorry. I mean, if you have root access, the CPU is stabilized. The frequency is stabilized.
It has a couple of gradle tests for it. Like one of them is CPU like, and the other one is CPU unlock. So it tries to lock CPU frequency at medium level. So while it's running the loops, the phone and CPU doesn't get too hot. So it's trying to keep that performance over time.
But does that mean that the application has for root access?
I don't think so, no. They will probably handle that behind, like that gradle test. No one mentioned, there is nothing mentioned about it. Also, they don't suggest to use root access, but looks like they were using root version of this since 2016, and they were able to release this by this sustained performance mode and with this sleeping food. As far as I understand, they were just using the root device for testing.
Alright, thanks.
Just a quick question. Does it have support for J5?
No, none of the global libraries have J support. To Google?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you, and this is a small bit of appreciation, very hot Firebase sauce. And that was it. Let us know if you enjoyed the format like this, so we can do some more lightning talks in the future. And thanks for coming, and enjoy the evening.